Hello, everyone. John Turnbull here from Powder Blue Sports, and we are here to introduce to you fight card boxing. This one came together probably quicker than the other ones. There wasn't a whole lot of stats to work with, and I will start by saying that this game is a very subjective game. There are stats that I use, but the way that I use them is my recipe. It'll differ from other boxing games out there, so take that with a grain of salt. But from what I've played so far, there's a nice balance. People still compare favorably to one another based on the stats that I have. And with that in mind, we'll start out with looking at the cards. And the cards are a typical powder blue sport type of card. This one is a 4 to a page, just like the basketball and the early football. It's got their name, country of origin, their nickname, some of their statistics, and they got stats. These are the stats that I use: the number of bouts they fought, the number of rounds they fought in those bouts, which is particularly important, their win-loss draw record, and the number of knockouts that they've had. And then I have two sections here, one for damage, and that'll be a round-by-round possibility to inflict damage on the other opponent, and then a scoring, round-by-round scoring card, and that is based strictly on their winning percentage, to where I put the either won 10-9 or lost 9-10. Okay, so we've got let's go into these ratings here, because this is what makes the game here. The first one that you'll see is a work rate. And most of your work rate numbers are going to be above 50, below 100. And that I used a combination of the winning percentage and knockout percentage. Now, work rate is a boxing term that deals with volume and intensity of a boxer's offensive or defensive activity. So if they win, if they knock out a lot of people, that's a good indication of how hard they work. So those are the two statistics that I use for the work rate. The intensity, I use a combination of their winning and knockout average percentage, and I also factor in their longevity in their fights. So that's where the rounds come in. The rounds per bout is an average, and I use that to factor in this intensity. It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody with a 10 intensity is going to be a stronger boxer than somebody with a 5 or a 6, although you can make an argument for that. Tyson has a 10, Ali has a 5, but the key thing on that is Tyson's average rounds per bout is only 4. So this is the intensity is a concentrated value of the punch that they pack for the amount of rounds that they can do that in, based on the number of average rounds that they have fought per bout. Ali has knocked out a lot of guys, but his average rounds per bout, I believe, is 9. So that kind of gets thinned out and stretched out. He knocks them out, but it's over a wider spectrum of rounds. So that's where that comes from. Now, the endurance is what we're going to use to as a base to subtract damage during the fight. The endurance is also factored in by using the boxer's knockout percentage, their winning percentage, and also the number of rounds per bout that they have fought, and that's kind of factored in a little bit more heavily than some of the other formulas that use the rounds per bout. So that number will be used as we go along as a baseline for their power level, or their not necessarily power level, but the amount of energy they have left in the fight. And then on the card also we have the class that they're in. If there are multiple classes, you can see Benitez here is a welterweight only. Sugar Ray Leonard is in 3 different classes. He's in middleweight, welterweight, and lightweight. The game that I have right now is only 4 weight classes: heavyweight, welterweight, middleweight, and lightweight. There are tons of other, light heavyweight, cruiserweight, flyweight, but these 4 seem to be, at least when I was following boxing before 2000, was the standard for weight classes, and boxers have fought in more than one and have been successful in more than one. So the stats that I have are a combination of what they've done in all their weight classes. I have done some analysis on a few fighters. For example, Roy Jones, he's fought as a middleweight, he's fought as a welterweight, and he's fought as a heavyweight, and he was successful in all 3. So instead of parsing out their statistics by class, for this game, they are all bound together into one set of statistics. So here's the nice little tray that I made to go along with each of my games, and a score sheet. Now, I don't have an Excel helper made. I'm going to release this probably before I do the helper, so it'll be a few weeks. I've got some other stuff going on that require my attention, so it'll be several weeks probably before I have an Excel helper out. But the score sheet will be more than what you need for right now. So what I'm going to do is, I had a fight already done with Ray Leonard and Benitez, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through that here. And let me see if I can't take my camera here and kind of get it. And I'll have to lift it up at some point in time here. So it has the fight details, the location. I do have a finder in the rules that you can roll for whatever location you want. I've got, I think, probably 50 or 60 different locations, I think. No, it might not be that many, but where all the major fights have taken place, so you can roll to see where the fight is. The boxer and the division that they're in, and then you can put their work rate number, their intensity number, and their endurance number in here. So what happens is there's 2 tracks to each round, okay? First, what you're going to do is you're going to assign each boxer a 50-50 split. So since we already have offense and defense dice, I'm just going to assign offense to Sugar Ray, defense to Wilfredo Benitez, and that doesn't necessarily mean that one's on offense, one's on defense. It's just to see who wins the 50-50 split. So what happens at the beginning of each round, a certain boxer is going to have first action. So they're going to be the one that's going to be most aggressive coming out of the corners. So in here it's offense. So what I do is, so for example, for this first round, Leonard had first action. So I'll put a 1 into there for his first action, and then I'll put a 2 in for Benitez. So since Leonard is working first, he will roll for his work rate number, and that's a 2d10. So in this case, his roll was 66. If that number is less than or equal to the work rate number, then he is eligible to inflict damage upon his opponent. If it is above, then no damage is inflicted, and we roll on to the next, the boxer with the second action for the round. So in this case, the damage roll was 8. So we look on Sugar Ray's card, And we look here and we roll 8, and that's 6 endurance points. So we put a 6 in there, and then what happens is Benitez's endurance goes from a 78 down to a 72. Just like the college basketball game, I've got a running tally here of the endurance points that you have. Now, these circles that I have on round 8, the rounds per bout for both fighters were an 8. So I circled the applicable round that they are at I won't say full strength, but they reach their average. And then any round after that, you subtract 3 additional points from however many damage points. If there's no damage inflicted, then there's no subtraction of 3 points. It just stays the same from the previous round. Okay, so then we go to Benitez. Okay, Benitez was second action. He rolled a 23 for his work rate, which is at or below his number of 73, so he'll get to inflict damage. His damage roll was a 9, so you look on his card, and a 9 corresponds to 6 points. So he put a 6 in there, and Leonard's endurance would go from an 82 down to a 76. Now, at the end of the round, unless there is a knockout, and we'll get into that here in a minute, unless there is a knockout, then you go to the judges card to see who wins the round. Now, there is a matrix that you go by, okay? There are 6 different scenarios in which you determine the scoring for each round. So I'll go over them here. If neither fighter does damage, then it goes straight to the judges roll, and we'll do that here in a minute. If one person does damage with no multiplier on the card here, if there is a, and I should have went through this here, if you're rolling for your damage and you roll a 2, 3, 10, or 11, or 12, then you have a multiplier on their intensity number, okay? So you roll a 1d6, and if you roll a 5, then you got 5 times that number, which is 25. So in that round, you inflicted a lot more damage than usually. Maybe you knocked him down, maybe you staggered him, maybe you had a cut, but you inflicted some damage upon that boxer, and that's how you use the multiplier. On the multiplier KO, if you roll a 2, then you roll that 1d6. If in between round 1 and 6, you roll a 1, so that's basically a 1/3 of 1% chance, then you score a knockout. If you roll a multiplier KO, which is a 3% chance, and then you roll a 1 or a 2 from round 7 on, that represents a 1% chance of a knockout. Then you score the knockout, and you don't go to the judges after that. So if one person does damage without hitting one of the multipliers, then it's a unanimous 10-9 for the fighter who did the damage. If both fighters do damage and neither of them hit the multiplier, then you go to the judges, since it's basically a close round. If both boxers do damage, but one of them uses their multiplier, then it's a unanimous 10-9 in favor of the one who had the multiplier to use. If both do damage and both use the multiplier with no knockout, then you go to the judges. If one uses a damage by the multiplier and the other one doesn't do damage at all, so not only does that boxer do damage, but they use the multiplier, then it's a unanimous 10-8 in favor of the boxer who got to use the multiplier. So when you go to the judges, you will roll the decider die, and because that's how you also use the offense defense, and a 2d6, and you would roll. So this case will be an offense 3, and offense is Sugar Ray Leonard, and then you would read 3 on his card, and he won the round 10-9. Then you go to the next judge. So there's 3 judges. It rolls a defense 8. So now we're going to go to Benitez's card, and you're looking at 8, and he lost 10-9. So technically, Leonard still won that round 10-9. So Leonard would have 2 10-9s, since this is a lost 9-10 on Benitez's card. So you do 3 rolls for the 3 judges, and that's how you come up with this. So, for example, in this round, we went to the judges, and 2 of them had 10-9 for Benitez, 1 had 10-9 for Leonard. So then we went on to the next round. Leonard had a damage, inflicted 7 points, put him down to a 65. Benitez's work rate roll was at 89, which is above 73. No damage was done. And since one did damage and the other did not do damage, it was a unanimous 10-9 in favor of Leonard. So you kind of get the idea of how this goes. We had a multiplier here in round 5. Ray Leonard had a 76 for the work rate, below 80. And then he rolled a 3, which is the multiplier. But the multiplier roll is only 1. So you did his intensity of 6, multiplied by 1. So that's how he only got 6 points. So now we went on to the fight. So let's say we get to round 9. Actually, let's use round 10 since nobody did damage in round 9. Leonard had first action in round 10. Rolled a 15, which is below his work rate number. So that's a yes. His damage roll was 8, which was 6 points. Plus he add 3 since he's beyond his rounds average. So that gives him 9 intensity, or 9 points down. Now we got to the end of round 12 in this bout, and Benitez had second action. He rolled a 44, below his work rate number of 73. He rolled a 2 for his damage roll, which was a multiplier. And then he rolled a 1d6 and rolled another 2, which is an automatic knockout. So Benitez won this by or knockout in round 12. Now, I've got, let's see here. Let me pull out the rules here real quick. I might add in the rules, I've got scenarios for knockouts. I might actually do scenario finders for multiplier damage, for cuts, knockdowns, just kind of things to add to the narrative. So what I've done is I've created, actually AI created it, and they did a fantastic job. Thank you, AI. So we've got 100 different options, usually 50 for knockouts and 50 for TKOs. So if I want to find out what actually happened, I would roll a 2d10, and it would come up with a 63. So I'm going to go to 63 in the charts here. And 63 says, jaw snap knockout. A hook snaps the jaw sideways. The fighter drops instantly and the mouthpiece goes out flying. And that is how the knockout happened. So that just adds a little bit of flavor to describe exactly how the fight ended. And then here's your boxing venue. I've got, about 40 or 50 different venues here. You got higher rolls for the common ones: Madison Square Garden, MGM Grand, Caesars Palace, Wembley's, T-Mobile Arena. And then you got some of the other off-the-wall ones that we've had, the Cow Palace in San Francisco, Olympic Stadium, Yankee Stadium. So we've got a mixture of locations. If you don't want to decide for yourself and you just want to roll to see where the fight happened, you can roll on here, and the single number is the high number in the range of where the venue is. So that's included in the instructions. I think that about covers it. And again, this is a subjective game. The ratings that I have were created by me, and I think there's a good balance here. The average rounds per bout average, I believe, is 7. And the average intensity is 7. So if you roll 7s on that, that's 49. For 12 rounds, actually that's 780. It's in the low to mid 80s, and that's where most of the fighters' endurances are, is in the 70 to 80 range. Some higher, some lower. But And you can see you don't always do damage, and some are going to have multipliers. So you're going to have a fair number of fights where you're going to see things starting to get hairy as far as the numbers depleting quickly. And if you get a fighter with multiple multipliers that are in the higher range, that's going to drain the other fighter quickly. So I think that it has a really good balance that allows itself for fights to go the distance and also fights to end with the fighter running out of juice and being knocked out. One thing I will say, all the fights I have listed, the score sheet is for 12 rounds. So I know back in the day, things used to go 15 rounds, but for the purposes of this game, all the fighters have a common, at least have gone 12 rounds. I know there's even some fights out there that had a maximum of 10 rounds. So 12 is the standard we'll use for this game. And the set contains 144 different boxers from the 4 different weight classes. You can purchase just one set of cards if you want. The set with the least amount of cards has, I'd say, about 32, 33 boxers. The heavyweight set is the larger of the 4. That has probably close to 60 to 70 boxers. So I'll have pricing for each individual set, and also in the if you buy all 4 sets. So there you have it. Fight card boxing. You'll be seeing a lot of this on Jason Graham's channel. He's a big boxing aficionado, and he's been one of my play testers. So thank you, Jason. And you'll see a lot of fights from this game. And also, John Alexander used this game to use this fight. Of course, this will be out after the results that he posts, but he used this fight for his 1980 yearly project. So I want to thank him for allowing me to do that. So, and I'll have some fights on my channel as well, as I want to relive the past as well, and definitely do some what if matchups. So the Facebook page, by the time you see this, the Facebook page will be up. The products will be posted on the Powder Blue Sports page, and also in the Google Drive. Again, all of this is free, and I will print in copies for those who don't want to print their own stuff, just like all the other games. So thank you very much for listening, and have a good day.